What's up, boys?
What's going on?
Yo to the yo.
What's up, King? How are you?
I'm good,
What's
man.
up, Phil?
Good. How you doing, Phil?
I'm chilling, brother. I'm chilling. I'm just happy to be on here.
Awesome.
Yeah, I saw
Well,
the pictures. We saw the reviews. We're going to go over everything. You looked fantastic, man. Very
Thank
well.
you. I appreciate it. I appreciate
You
it.
look fantastic. It was one of the better versions of you that I've ever seen.
Yes, I've heard a lot of that.
Yeah. So, Phil, you've been competing. How long have you been competing? What age did you start competing?
In my early 20s, 1999.
Okay. And how old are you now?
51. I turned 51 in June.
Awesome. Wow. Yeah. You've been doing it a long time. All right. So I'm gonna play. Let's play some of the video, some of the stuff first. So if people haven't seen it, just so they know. All right, so here's you and Dorian. So Phil, tell us what went on down. Tell us how Japan was in the first place, and then we'll get into the competition.
Well, Japan is beautiful. I mean, I wish we could have stayed a little bit longer. I mean, we were there for a week, but I've never been in the most cleanest. I mean, we tried effortlessly to find some trash on the floor somewhere. You know what I mean? The people were amazing. We were in a great suite, so we had bell service, and we could wait. The guy will get us a cab, and if it's like a minute too late, I mean, they're apologizing and bowing. We're like, no, it's okay. Just the atmosphere, man, and the people, and just the respect. It's just hard to explain. You guys, if you ever have an opportunity to go out there, I know a lot of people that I train us in the service. They talk very highly of it. Amazing.
Awesome. I've never been. King, have you been to Japan?
Couple times, yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's incredible. Like you said, very clean, very nice. I made the mistake of going in summertime, and they were like, it was one of the hottest places on earth in the summertime, and we went to Okinawa, and they kept throwing up the red flags. I'm like, what does that mean? Because I was staying at a military base, and they're like, you can't go outside, man. It's dangerous to be outside. So I think Japan, Okinawa in the summertime, and Dubai in the summertime are hell on earth. But like Phil said, beautiful.
Yeah. Awesome.
And clean. Yeah.
Very
clean.
Yeah. Phil. All right, Phil. So, I know you've done a couple other podcasts. I haven't watched them at all. I haven't had time. King, have you seen any of them?
I did. When you told me that we're going to have Phil on, I did my little research.
Yeah, it was like kind of last minute.
Opinions on certain things. I saw the videos. I saw the different commentaries from different podcasts and here and there. But I want to hear what he has to say. And it was like I mean, listen, we all gone through situations where we have weird placings and it just something looks sketchy. But to have someone third and after prejudging and then first, that's a little extreme. So I want to hear what Phil has to say.
All right.
Yeah.
So before
start with everything, and then tell us kind of what happened and what you think happened, and everything.
Well, I'm gonna start from even before I even stepped on stage. So it's crazy. So I'm getting a tan. Because it's like a one person at a time tanning thing, how they had it set up, because before they had no tanning, and then we had to go to a tanning company, but thank God we were able to get a tanning company to assist us with tanning. So I'm getting tan, and I hear Dorian in the other room, which is crazy that our time intertwined. And then he came in, I was drying before I went back for my second tan. And as soon as Dorian seen me from the gate, he said, "Oh shit." He said, bro, you look ridiculous. And he said, if anybody's going to beat me, I'm happy if it's you. That was his word, because he just saw me just stripped down, drying, right? So we get to the show. Best I'm feeling ever. I had post pictures from the hotel room before we even left. And Blue did a remarkable job this time. I mean, we was full. We peaked absolutely well. Best conditioning. I was dry all through the prep of 18 weeks. We normally come in with like a small hydrocortisone. We didn't need nothing because we were so freaking dry. We had to actually add more salt to my food. We normally cut water dramatically. We couldn't. I was just so dry. We just couldn't go crazy with anything. So I was ready, man. I stepped on stage. I came into prejudging. As soon as I stepped on that prejudging stage, and I came out for I think it was the top 6 when we just come out for the beginning little round there, the symmetry round. And Steve's face was lit up. I don't think he was actually expecting me to be this good, honestly. And I think that's why the judging was pretty much fair in prejudging. And he just stared at me. So we went through the comparisons, and then we came back out. And as soon as we got the top 5, we came out. They moved me to the far right away. And that's when I was like, here we go, right? Then they put me back in the middle, and I stayed. They may have rotated me right to left between me and Domenico. They had Doring in the center next to me for a little while, but it was really more focused in the prejudging with me and Domenico. And because he was incredible conditioning. He was the only guy I was actually really, really nervous about.
Okay. I was going to ask you, going into the show, like, who, when you saw the guys, like, who did you think your biggest competition was? Was it Dorian going into
Domenico.
Okay.
Domenico. Doran, honestly, as soon as I saw Doran stripped down, yes, he has some size, but Doran's always been a big guy. I've competed against Doran since 2017. Doran's first time beating me was last year in Tampa. I spilled over. I completely spilled over, and he justified beating me in Tampa. But me in my best shape, he's not beat me one time but that one time. So I came in better than ever this time around, and I saw him. And I was like, because first I saw his pictures he was posting, and I was telling my wife, is he trolling? There's no way he don't look in good condition in these pictures I'm seeing. Then he posted a picture from his hotel room actually several hours before the show. And I'm like, no, he's not trolling us. He really is soft. So he must have went for more size than conditioning, where I did the opposite. I went for more conditioning and not much size, because I've been told conditioning. That's all I've been told. They want me to come in condition. I have enough size, and I'm tall. So when I saw him, it was easy work. And then when I saw Domenico, I was like, oh man, you know what I mean? So that was my main thing, and that's who I was battling in prejudging. It was just me and him, and we left that way. And you guys got to look at it. Look at all the shows. Normally when you see the top 2 battling in prejudging, you're expecting that, which we always seen all year, is that who comes back and battles in the finals. Okay.
I think I saw it kind of the same way that you did. I again, this is coming from seeing it from a computer screen,
right,
instead of being there live. And you, as well as anybody who's a seasoned bodybuilder, understands that it's a whole different ball game when it's in person.
Right.
And the backdrop didn't help either.
No.
I know.
Yeah,
we keep playing it over and over.
People will never learn, because we've said it 1,000 times. Every time you and I commentated on the Mr. Olympia, we've yelled and we screamed, and I've personally called the promoters, and I called Dan Solomon. I'm like, Dan, what the F are you doing, man? And he's like, well, you don't understand. It's like, no, I do understand. Go back to the Iron Man. Look at the Iron Man the way it used to be, and that's the way it should. Anyway, but that's besides the point. Yeah, I thought Domenico looked really good too. I think that he came with a complete package. He had excellent conditioning, big guy, muscular, the whole thing. But you had better shape and more muscle maturity. That's what I saw through the computer screen.
You're correct. Because Domenico even came to me in the finals and told me the same thing. He said, I'm not going to beat you. Structurally, he said, Phil, you're in really good condition. Structurally, I'm not going to beat you today. And he said it himself at the finals backstage.
So what do you think happened? This is what we want to get down to, the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Why do you think that they put Dorian ahead of both you guys?
Okay. Well, first, I just want to make sure
of the points also, so people.
That's what I really want to emphasize on, because everybody, the 1%ers out there and people that supposed to understand bodybuilding, take the pictures out of the category, take the placings out of the category for right now. The big discussion is the scorecards. That's the big discussion that I'm really pinpointing at, because that's telling you something went wrong from prejudging to finals. what I believe, because I came back pretty much the same. I can say that I was slightly not as full as I was in prejudging. That's all I can say, because we didn't want to push food, because I didn't want my stomach to start extending, because I was more fuller in prejudging. So I really, really had to control my midsection in prejudging. Finals, I didn't have to control it as much because I didn't have any food in there to have to worry about controlling it as much. Domenico came back better, so I saw him in the back. Even my wife saw him on stage, and she said herself, she's like, "Oh shit, we're in problems." When I saw the scores after the show, I think that's when they.
Let me stop you there. So,
Mhm.
so you thought it was between you and
Domenico, yeah, I didn't even believe Dorian was even. No disrespect, I don't believe he was even in the picture at all.
Okay, so at this point, you're just like, it's me and him. Dorian's probably like third. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
So finals come around. We do our thing. I was ready. I've never been so psyched up for a show. On the way there, my wife was like, "How you feel?" I said, "I'm ready to go to war." You know what I mean? I picked a perfect song. Probably they didn't like music. I picked this perfect song, really explaining from last year of me talking up and trying to basically taint my image. The song played. Probably didn't like the song. I don't freaking know, man. But I know I came in.
What was the song? And tell us about what happened last year.
It was first I had the 300. At the beginning of the 300. I can't even explain it. You would have to physically listen to it. It's all on social media. It was LL Cool J, one of his newer songs, how they're like, trying to taint his legacy. But the words were perfect for the competition and for everything that's transpired from last year till now. And basically saying I brought the best ever, and basically letting the judges know whatever. So yeah, finals is over. I'm sitting there, and me and Domenico and Dorian is standing there. So I'm like, damn it, it's gonna be. I'm not even worried about Dorian. My whole mind is freaking on this Domenico guy because he looks so great. Then when they called him the third, I'm saying to myself, oh well, this is easy work. It's over. You know what I mean? And then the Japanese announcer, you can't really understand him. And then when I heard Dorian's last name, I'm like, this guy just win? So I'm shocked. You know what I mean? And like I said, the scorecard is what we're talking about. That's what I wanted to be answered. It's not being answered. And I was just actually notified about some garbage Bob and Shawn is talking. But yeah, I just want that to be rectified. I want the judges, one of the three judges to explain. Everybody's asking for that, and it hasn't happened.
So who have you spoken to, since the show? And then what did you say last year? Was it I asked you earlier, then before we started the show, and then it's time to start the show.
So last year in Tampa, I was like 15th. I don't even know where I end up placing, but it wasn't the best of me. I decided to drink a carb drink, so I spilled over. It's my fault. I'll take it on the head. It wasn't Blue's fault. I spilled over, but even with spilling over, I still could have placed better. So my big thing was they didn't give me a fair look. So that's what I was displaying last year. I did not get a fair look. I believe that they're age shaming, because you know what's crazy? Once they found out how old I was, that's when I started having problems in the IFBB. When I told them after I had the battle with Ian in 2021, once they found out my age, that's when shit just went completely different. I was just not looked at the same. No matter what package I brought, I wasn't looked at the same. So that's why I was bitching that they were age shaming.
Yeah, when we had Chris Cormier on, when he started competing, he even said that he told people he was younger than he really was because he didn't want to be known as like a certain age. So,
right.
When you look at all the bodybuilders up there, I would never think you were in your, 51, 52, whatever you, I would think, maybe late 30s, early 40, nothing like that. So, do you think they were trying to just push you to just do the Masters? And
yes, I firmly believe they were pushing me into the Masters, and that's fine. That was fine because that's what I end up doing. You know what I mean? In Romania, and that was a battle. I didn't argue. Max tried to beat me by 1 point. Did I get on social media go crazy when he beat me by 1 point? No. I walked away with $4,000. I spent more money going than what I got winning. Right? I never complained. This time, 2 years, I waited for the 2 years. I decided to do this Master Olympia, and I knew what I had to bring because I know how Steve looked at things. I knew what I had to bring, and I did it. And even though when I told you I was complaining, before I even did this Master Olympia, I did reach out to, I don't want to call anybody names. I mean, I say somebody's name. It's all kinds of craziness. And I wrote emails, and I patched everything up. I said, listen, probably I spoke out of turn. Probably I should have given myself more time. I apologize. I did everything. Just apologizing. And I'm thinking I'm going into this show with a clean slate. And technically I did. Like I said, prejudging was judged correctly. After that, I got an email from a top level coach, and he said, Phil, this happened before. It's a phone call. There's no way to explain it. It was a phone call. So it is what it is.
So this person said Tyler told him he was too bad he wasn't 10 years younger. Did Tyler ever tell you that?
Yes, he told my wife, but I was standing right there because he couldn't believe. She's like, you know how old he is? This guy's been battling with the top level Olympians at this age. And he said, oh man, only if he was 10 years younger. You know what I mean? And we didn't say anything, but from that day on, and then I went to Texas because he told me to go into Texas. Yeah. Right? So I go into Texas, I'm battling with the freaking Steve Kuklo, one of the best bodybuilders, you know what I mean? And then once again, me and Ian were going at it, and it was close between all three of us. It could have went either way, right? So after the show, I just wanted to know why I was placed third. Oh man, from the back, Phil, you got to bring up your hamstrings. So I said, why didn't you tell me that in Tampa? Because Ian got bigger legs than me. I'm not sugarcoating it, he did. But structurally, I was just put together very well. You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. They just come up with excuses. And they're saying that's what what's his name? When he did his thing, and I was texting him. It was Steve, Sandy, and what's his? I don't know how I'm forgetting his name. He does Olympia TV.
Tarek's brother?
Tarek, not his brother. Tarek. So I'm asking Tarek through messaging, why? Oh, you have to bring up your hamstring. That's like the same hamstrings that pretty almost got a perfect score in prejudging. And the minute I said, and it's unfair for what y'all did to Domenico. Oh, I appreciate you not talking about other athletes. I said, I'm not talking about him. I'm just letting you know. So basically it was my hamstrings and my abdomen. I lost control of my abdomen and I completely fell apart. That was his take. His, Sandy's, and Steve completely fell apart. That's why I was pushing the videos, the finals, because I didn't fall apart. Really, I only want to push the scorecards, but I was letting everybody see that I did not fall apart in finals. So I want somebody to explain the scorecards. I think we all want to know the difference in the scorecards. What happened?
Well, I've heard other people. Yeah, I've heard other people that was there that the judging, they were confused, like what went on with the judging. They didn't agree with not just yours, but other
the whole
parts
class,
of the judging too, like the placings. Yep. They didn't agree. Yeah, that's what I heard. So
no, it's true.
It is different.
212.
It is hard to watch the video.
Yeah, 212 was crazy. You know what I mean? But yeah, every division had their so-called 1 point person victory. So it's not just my division, but I just had the bigger spread. That's the main philosophy with the spread. And, Bob wants to say this happened in Olympia, God knows when, but that wasn't this big depth of a spread. And also you got to remember the Olympia is 2 days. We're looking at 3 hours. So him and Shawn now, I haven't seen the video, are coming up with all kinds of nonsense because they got a phone call to go defend the IFBB Pro League because I just know how they operate. And let's smash Phil and make up all kinds of excuses that this has happened before and you're crying and all this mess. I'm not crying. Point blank is I want the scorecards to be explained. How could someone come from third and win a Master Olympia or any show? How is that even logically, number-wise possible? The mathematics can never, ever add up.
Yeah. And you haven't got any explanations yet Nothing.
No, everybody's
Have you seen
asking
this
for
work?
Steve to do because Tyler can't do it because he doesn't do anything that where he's not there, and I respect that. So he's not going to do a preview of the show, but Steve, Sandy, one of them can do because they both were the head judges. Show me verbatim, me and don't exclude the top three, and show reason why certain individuals didn't place where they placed. Show the pictures like Tyler does, and show it because they can't. They can't do it.
Right.
No. Yeah, I mean, I judged for 7 years, just not on a pro level, but local level. After I stopped competing, I wanted to know, because I wasn't happy with certain places I got over the years, and it wasn't just me. Like I was being a bad sport. Like, oh, I should have got there. Like all the top people like in the industry at the time told me that no, you should have placed like this, or you should have won this. And so I wanted to start judging afterwards and just kind of understand what goes into it. And then bodybuilding is easy to judge because the physiques, once you get to like men's physique, bikini, they're not really posing. So everybody kind of looks the same after a while when you got like 40 competitors, 50 competitors, if it goes that deep. And so it's, it's people's opinions of you. And that's what's always been the issue. What's your rapport with like the judges? Have you spoken to them over the years? Do you think a certain one has something against you, or that they just didn't like how you spoke out? Of course, Lee Priest spoke out a lot when he was competing and got him in trouble. When I was judging, there was some stuff with our chairman that went on that was not okay at all. But they eventually got rid of him, and I thought they cleaned everything up a lot. Of course, there's still going to be, like local shows here and there, especially in smaller towns where their buddies are going to win and stuff like that. I see that often, but once you get to the top pro level, it's kind of like you kind of see what it's usually supposed to be. But in Japan, it was kind of like all over the place. And the points, it's like that's a big jump, like you said, and the scoring. So
yeah, I believe it's firmly because I spoke up. Listen, we're independent contractors in this sport. IPB is not paying us to compete in show. We have to win prize money. So we're independent contractors. I mean, they won't allow anyone to go outside of the IPB compete. Some of these guys are competing for their family. You know what I mean? And I think as a professional bodybuilder, we should be able to allow not just to compete in other federations, but also to speak up. You know what I mean? We're grown men that we have to keep our mouth shut from the higher powers so we don't get in trouble. You know what I mean? There's a lot of pros praising me for talking up and talking up now. They can't do it. My inbox is full.
Yeah.
They can't do it, but they're appreciating me speaking up. You know what I mean? So I'll speak for them because I understand their predicament. Some of these guys are top level Olympians and making big money with sponsors, and I completely understand that. But yeah, I spoke up at Tampa. Once again, it wasn't nothing wrong. I believe I should have had a better look, and I believe I'm being judged on my age and not judged on what I'm bringing on that stage. And I mentioned Tyler's name, and the whole world erupted when I did that. I wasn't calling him out. I was basically stating what was said at a show about my age, and that I believe that I'm being judged against because of my age. That's all I said last year. And I'm getting persecuted for that because 2 years ago, I had no issues doing Romania. No issues at all. I had no issues in 2022. No, 2023. No, 2022. Or I think it was 2020. I don't know. When Kamal was going against, what's his name? I keep forgetting everybody's name. Kamal came in his best shape. I think I took 4th in that Tampa Pro. I think it was 2022. It had been 2022. I took 4th. And Kamal took 2nd to Akeem. Same thing, though, because even Kamal made a statement on my post. He came in condition very well. We all know Kamal was complete. And because, Akeem was just bigger, he wasn't in as good condition, it went to Akeem. Right? So Kamal made that statement because this is somewhat of the same thing, but the point spread is just wider. right? So yes, I believe it's because I spoke up. I think that I know that they weren't expecting me to come in the shape I was. So in their mind is Clahar's doing the Masters. He's going to take third or fourth, possibly fifth from what we saw last year. He's falling apart. He's getting older now. We don't see it happening. And then when I shocked him after prejudging, you know, a phone call probably was made. Hey, how's everything going on over there? How's everybody look? Clahar looks ridiculous. Clahar looks
So-
ridiculous. We weren't expecting him to look like that. This is just me thinking, plotting out the whole story. And then I know Clahar can't win. He has to lose by one. He has to lose by
Bill,
one.
was this going to be your last show, or were you still going to compete? 'Cause
No, I was gonna
think
do the Masters in 2 more years. I wasn't gonna do the Open anymore. You know, I'm gonna be
Okay.
honest. I mean, King, we see these guys, man. Even though structurally, I mean, I'll probably break the top 10, possibly top, 6th or 7th place. But I gotta give respect to these Open competitors. The density of the muscle, I'm not willing to go to that place with my health to do it. So I was just going to compete in the Masters, win this one, and go defend it, and then I was going to be done. So no, I wasn't planning on retiring. I was planning on winning this show and defending it in 2 more years, which I think it's going to be in Maryland. But it's no way I can compete under this umbrella because they're going to continue to. It'll be worse. It's not worth it.
Just out of
Bill,
curiosity, what is Domenico saying about all this?
Domenico's
Have you
pretty
heard
quiet.
anything?
He doesn't really talk good English, but he has been talking to me through DM, just appreciating me defending him, and appreciating the fact that he was able to stand next to me on stage and basically saying I was the rightful winner. But I don't, if he talks up too, I mean, God knows what's going to happen to the poor guy. You get what I'm saying? So he just went pro though. That's what's scary. He just went pro a few months ago.
Yeah. Phil,
Everybody, all these questions are coming in. I'm reading the questions. Everybody's talking about Bob and Shawn. What did they really go ballistic on you? What did they do?
I heard it happened. It happened earlier today. Some people are sending me links. I don't even want to look at it because last year I demolished them on my personal YouTube because my thing is what the IFBB does is when obviously things are going viral on my end, they don't like it. So they send Bob and Shawn as little puppets, because that's what they are, to try to justify the wrongful doing on their behalf. So basically try to discredit me in any way, shape, or form to try to make things look better on their end. You know what I mean? Here it is, bro. Bob and Shawn need to take their ass in the gym and go work out and get off their fat asses and stop worrying about what's going on with what competitor. He disrespected Nick Walker at one point. He's always disrespecting somebody. Shawn, I never had a problem with several years ago. He used to DM me when I battled with Ian and talking all kinds of negative stuff about Ian on DM. How I should dig in that ass and all this shit and beat him and all this crap. But yet now he gets on his podcast with Bob and his attitude changes. They're all against me for what? Speaking out for the right thing. Not even they can, King, not even they can explain. They keep saying, oh, this happened in the Olympia where there was a 6-point swing. That's what somebody's telling me. The Olympia is a 2-day event, right? And you're talking 6 points. We're talking 9. That's never happened. Never happened.
I think for me, as an outsider looking in, I think that would be my biggest red flag. I wasn't there, as I said at the beginning, and it makes all the difference in the world when you're there than when you're watching on the screen. But to have a 1-day event when there's only just a few hours, I don't think the word falling apart can happen even if you went to McDonald's and had 15 Big Macs and 4 cheesecakes. You still wouldn't fall apart. You might get distended, but you're not going to fall apart. And you said you didn't eat anything between. So
I had 2 to 4 ounces of filet mignon, 250 grams of white rice, and 4 ounces of water. I remember exactly.
It just wouldn't make sense. That's the part that doesn't make sense. So my question again, I don't know if I just want to clarify this. You, after prejudging, where did they have you 3?
I was in the middle. No,
I'm talking about scoring wise. After prejudging,
Dorian was in 3rd, Domenico was 2nd, and I was 1st. That's how it was lined up.
After prejudging.
Yes, and you saw it on the scorecard. It was the same thing on the scorecard.
So that's an official statement that they made that you see it, it's official, it's stamped, like IFBB. Okay, cool. And then after that, for finals, second. They had Dorian winning, and they put Dominic on third. Okay, now I
Yeah.
see what's going on.
Yep.
All right.
And that was how many hours, Phil, in between
3.
was that?
3 hours.
3 hours.
See,
Okay.
that's the sketchiest part. That's the only part that I would say, hey, what's going on here? Because let me tell you this, Phil. I myself have been in situations at the Night of Champions in 2003 where I got the first call out with Victor, and then afterwards I think I got fourth that night, and I had a judge come backstage after the show and get in my face and say, I don't want to hear shit in the magazines. I don't want to hear anything. Keep your fucking mouth shut. You take it like a man. Come back better and this and that. And I smiled and I said, okay, because I knew what the fans were going to say. And the fans were going nuts. It was a 1 minute bullshit chant, and I didn't start it. They started it in the New York crowd. So my suggestion to you, or my question to you, would be, what's next? So what are you going to do next? Because that's what life is all about. What are you going to do next?
Well, right now I'm enjoying my family. I'm staying in shape. I'm staying in striking distance, and we're researching now another federation that I'm planning on competing for. I just haven't nailed it yet. I just want a federation that appreciates me. Like me and Kamal already made a video. He's on the same thing too. He wants a federation that's going to respect, the athletes and be somewhat fair. We know everywhere is not going to be 100% fair. Life ain't fair, right? So yeah, I'm still going to compete, but no longer underneath the IFBB Pro League, no more.
Oh wow! So never again. You're making
no. I don't want to ever step on another IFBB Pro League stage again.
So you're leaving the UFC and you're going to Bellator. Is that what we're getting right now? It's big time news, but the gentleman who just got second in the Masters Olympia is saying that I'm leaving. That's big news.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Phil, what other leagues have you been to? Other leagues and watched the shows? I know we've got one of a guy. He used to put a show, Bob Johnson. He used to have a show for years in the NPC, and he left and he started his own league called the GBO. But when he left, it was under good terms. It wasn't like FU when Lee Thompson left and started his division. I believe it was like the NSL, and that didn't last at all. He just dumped all his money into it and lost like everything. And then no athletes were going over there because they were scared if they went over there, they were going to get blackballed NPC IFBB. So, and then the people that went over there, I think a couple pros went over there and he promised them a lot of money contract wise. And I don't think they ever got paid with Lee Thompson's, but Bob's does a really good job. I've been to a few of his shows. What other leagues have you been to and see like, where does guys look like me? Is there other leagues that people look like you? Because I've been to some other leagues and I don't really see that level of competition.
No, it's not. But and the money probably won't be that great. I mean, it'd probably be like $2,000 or whatever the case may be. But at the end of the day, I'm doing the sport because I love it. You know what I'm saying? So we're researching. I know they have one PCA. I think they have somebody mentioned another one to me. I was possibly thinking out to the IFBB Elite. I don't know. Right now, we're just sitting back. And I'll make a decision on that. Once I find out what I'm going to do with the other federation, I will announce it. But I just want to be able to. Of course, there's nobody on the level of the IFBB Pro League, regardless of where I go, right? But I just enjoy bodybuilding, and I'm happy at the age of 51 that I can still be at the top of my game. So wherever I go, regardless of how the competition doesn't level up, it doesn't really matter to me, as long as I'm out there having fun and probably giving back to that federation to help them to build better athletes as much as possible. I just want to be somewhere where we're cared about, we're appreciated, and where our word and what we say do matter, and we don't have to just shut up and take whatever is being done to us and be okay with it.
Yeah. Like I know, like Bob's league, he, like I said, the prize money is lower. They'll do also trips to Hawaii and cool stuff like that. Obviously, what was the prize money at the Masters Olympia? Yeah, I know the
same as it was
like,
2 years ago, 20 grand.
Okay,
they haven't raised the prize. They're not going to raise the prize. I know Kamali said they were trying to get him to. Go ahead.
What's first, second, and third?
It's 20 grand for first, 10 for second, and I think third is 4 or 5.
Okay. And I mean, everybody spent their
And
own
then I
money
think
pretty
fourth
much
is like
out
a
of their
grand.
pocket, right, to go over
Huh?
there. Correct. I mean,
Well,
everybody spent their money out of their own pocket to go over there. I don't know
yeah,
if anybody had
and that's
sponsors.
why Brandon didn't do it, because Brandon
Yeah.
wanted them to pay for, of course it would make sense. He's an elite
Right.
bodybuilder. No, they don't pay for anything, and that's the damaging part. Like, man, it's not cheap. So you bring your best package, and you expect to win, and you brought that winning package, and they take money from your family. That's the tough thing to swallow.
Yeah. Wow. So let's say hypothetically, like, Steve gives you a call. Hey, Bill, I want you to stay here, and this is why I think you maybe did this and do this. Would you stay, or would you be like, no, it's still my decision. I don't want to go.
Steve is not going to give me a call, because
Oh,
Steve is,
I know.
yeah,
Hypothetically,
because
I
I'm gonna
know
tell
he
you,
wouldn't.
yeah, but the reason why I have to say that is because Steve has, I hate to say it this way because I really like Steve Weinberger. He has no power when it gets to these decisions. Steve was the head judge as well, and he put me at 6. They judged that show fairly in the morning. What happened after that? What made all the judges now sway all their points to push me to 3rd when nothing changed in the finals? It's a phone call. I don't care what anybody wants to say. It was a phone call. So, first of all, Steve wouldn't even be honest with me if I called him and said, Steve, come on, man. It's just me on your phone. I'm not going to say nothing to anybody, because I don't. I have tons of text messages from people. I would never share it. I'm not that type of
Right.
person. I'm a grown-ass man. I'm not, people are, they trust me. And my DMs is loaded with, trust me, big name pros, top coaches. I would never share shit. So if I would have talked to Steve, he could be honest, but how can he? There's no way he'll be able to explain it. A couple of years ago, 2020, I did the Chicago Pro, and I was completely overlooked. I was being coached by Phil Viz at the time. Came in great shape, completely overlooked. Ron was there. I got pushed. I think I was 9th. I went up to Steve. He was in the restaurant. He was having a drink. He was sitting there. I said, Steve, I'm sorry. I don't mean to bother you. I'm just curious to know, like, what happened. And he literally said this. I have no clue. You got completely overlooked. He said, show me some pictures prepping into the show. And he's looking at it. He's like, he said, no, you look really good. He said, do Tampa, because Tampa is your hometown and you always do well in Tampa. And send me pictures as you're prepping, because I had 2 weeks. Send me pictures as you're prepping for that show. And I was sending him pictures. He's like, keep going in that direction. And that's when I was battling Ian for first place.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's when Steve was honest. Now I don't freaking know, bro. I don't think he'll be honest with me right now, because I think the big dogs are carrying his words for him.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, going back to when I judged, I know things have changed a lot since then, but there were certain situations where we all picked a winner, and then the head judge overrode us and picked someone else, and we found out, eventually they were having relationships with certain athletes and stuff like that. But then once this was brought to the Manions and all that, they demoted the guy. So I know as I went along and over the years, I mean, I had in that situation, I had to be the first one to speak out, because all the other judges, they were scared to, because they're like, oh, well, I don't want to get fired as a judge. I'm like, dude, we very good, you get a couple $100 to judge a show. You're doing this because you love the sport and you want to give back and you want to judge fairly. People get into judging for different reasons, right? Some people like the power. Some people, got into it because they're doing, let's be real, like they were doing a lot of hooking up with competitors, whether it was male or female. That went on a lot. I saw it. And then I got into it because I wanted to see how it worked, and saw like behind the scenes stuff. And so I know they really worked to clean up a lot of stuff, but it's still, like anything, it's nothing's going to be perfect. Nothing, there's flaws in everything. And like I said, like, King and I said, watching the video, we can see like the basic stuff everybody can see. Your shape is better, your condition is better. Dorian's maybe a little thicker in certain areas. The glutes, Dorian, it didn't seem like he had, he was holding a lot in the glutes, it seemed like. And so, but I know in person is a lot different. So to give our opinion on that, it's a little difficult. but the scores, like King said, is that's I mean that's a
Yeah, that's the whole thing I'm talking. That's the
weird.
whole thing I'm complaining about is the
And then
score.
3 hours you fell apart in 3. That doesn't make sense. That's impossible.
Yeah, that for me that would be the only red flag because listen, it's a subjective sport.
Yeah.
I look at Shawn Rhoden and somebody else looks at Big Ramy, and we have completely different opinions. Somebody's like, there's Mr. Olympia, Big Ramy. I would look at him and say, well, he looks like a blown up plastic doll with overinflated quads, and Shawn Rhoden looks like a beautiful thoroughbred right there. I mean, we have different opinions. It's subjective. But again, without trying to sound like a broken record, because I'm very here at the IRON OGs. We don't bullshit. We tell it like it is. This just, if it was a next day thing, I'd be like, all right, listen, Phil, you're going a little bit overboard. Things happen. You know, that's why they call Phil Heath Mr. Saturday Night. He was always a little shitty during fucking Friday nights. He would come back and crush everybody. But 3 hours doesn't make sense. Now, that's one. Now, I will say this, though. This is from my own personal opinion. Me and Weinberger go way back, okay? We've been through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I can tell you from 100% my own personal experience, I have argued with Steve many times during competitions. We'd go to a lot of New York shows, and I would always sit in the front row, or sometimes I would even sit up right next to the judges, and he would call out certain things. And I looked over at him, and I'm like, Steve, what the fuck was that? And he'd look back at me, and he's like, King, I got you. And we go back and forth. So I don't think that Phil, I don't think that he's the type of person that's going to, like, is he going to call you? I don't think so. But if you call him, I don't think he's going to tell you to go fuck yourself and this and that. I think he will just say, in my opinion, he believes you faded away. He'll probably say you faded. That is the quote unquote, the safe thing for the judge to say, yeah, you faded. You're starting to fade. And then to go back to and what happens when that happens, this is again from my own personal opinion, they pick on things that are your weak points. That's why I was told by Nasser El Somebody, rest in peace, never admit a weak point. Even if you know you have a weak point, never admit it, because they're going to jump on you for the rest of your career. Nasser one time said, yeah, my back could be better. His entire career, everyone said, his back is his problem. Yeah. That's why he learned, and he said it to me, because don't ever admit a weak point. So, but not all of this stuff is void now, because you're saying you want to go to another federation.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't. Yeah. It really doesn't make sense for the arguments and the fights and stuff. I think you made your point, though, and I will give you credit where credit's due. I don't see the falling apart. I don't see that at all. And if you were winning prejudging, something doesn't smell right in Siberia, man.
Yeah. I agree with King 100%. And I would be very upset too.
Yeah,
I would be very upset. I'd be
because
very
it's
vocal.
the Masters Olympia. Yeah. It's not like a regular show here and there. You're talking about the Masters Olympia, so I would be very upset too. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I was also told, Phil, listen, you're a very outspoken person. You don't hold your tongue. They don't want to put your name on that Master Olympia for the fact that you don't know how to keep quiet and not say a word. You know what I mean? They're just too outspoken. And that Olympia brand, I said, listen, I totally understand. I totally understand. And that's fine. You know what I mean? It's fine. Once again, the scorecards is what I'm mad at. And the 10 grand that was taken away from my family is what I'm mad at. You know what I mean? When you put that work in, man, you guys know. You guys been there, King. You were freaking out, ridiculously peeled in your show. Best poser, one of the best posers ever. I mean, I watch your stuff on YouTube all the time.
Thank you.
You know what I mean? And I tell a lot of people, the 1%ers, say what you want. We're talking about the scorecards, but put yourself in my place. Spending that money. My clients took money out of their pockets to pay for my trip to go to Japan. That's why I trained so hard, because I didn't want to fail them and I didn't want to fail myself. I didn't want to fail my family. But really, for people to step out of their way, out of their hard-earned money, you know, they were giving small money. You're talking 500, 1,000. You know, each person is putting it for me to go and do my thing, what I love, and then to bring the best And that to happen for whatever determined reason, it wasn't fair and it wasn't right. And like I said, for a sport that I've been involved in from 1999 with an NPC competing in New Jersey, and then came to Florida in 2008, and Tim was my first coach, Tim Gardner, and winning the Florida State in overall, I ran into a hiccup where, you know, I was trying to do the nationals, you know, because I'm a Jamaican citizen. And back then, quote unquote, if you were favored, you know, they'll allow you to compete with not being a citizen. I had letters wrote and they denied me. So, you know, I stopped training for about 10 years. And then I came back again and I said, I guess I got to go to the international circuit to compete. And I did that. And of course, you know, once you go to international, you're going to run into some political aspects there too, because you got to win the overall. Back when I competed, you can't just win. You got to win the overall to get your pro card. It didn't happen. So then I ended up going to Canada, and that show was really tough. And I did both the Open and Masters, and I won the Open. I won the Open overall, the Masters overall, and the entire show, and went pro as an Open competitor. I love the sport. You know, when they came to me and told me I had to make a decision, because at the time, I think they had just split IFBB Pro Elite and IB Pro League. They just split. So they came to me and said I had to make a decision if I want to stay with the Elite or go with IFBB Pro League. And at the time, we all know IFBB Pro League is the #1 show. You know, they have the Mr. Olympia, right? So that was my decision. But throughout my years, I never, ever, ever had an issue. In the beginning, coming up through the ranks, yeah, some of the placings weren't great. I never complained. I just knew I had to put on more size. I used to bring a lot of conditioning when I had Dave Palumbo as my coach. I just had to put on size. And I know you got to work your way up the ranks. That I knew. Once I broke in 2020 and broke and got 4th, and now I'm breaking the chain with some of the top competitors in the top 5. Man, as soon as I said my age, it just went downhill from there.
Phil, you've competed so long, and you know you've kept your body, you know, healthy, and it looks fresh too. So, you think that's genetic, or with you as you got older, did you kind of stop, you know, steering away from certain exercises? Did you change the stuff you took, like certain cycles? I know that certain people at a certain age, they won't touch, you know, compounds like tren or, you know, harsher stuff like anadrol. And what did you do as you got older in bodybuilding to keep your physique fresh, healthy, and be able to keep going on without any health issues?
Well, this prep here, I think, was the freshest I ever been. This prep here, my body just was more youthful. You know what I mean? I didn't, you know, when I won Orlando, I had some flaws. And you know, when I won that decision against Hassan. And that's another thing I play back in this show. Everybody wants to say, oh, well, what you call it was bigger as camel muscle. He's not bigger than Hassan. And I was in better shape than I was against Hassan. So what I did, I revamped my training. I went to training 4 days a week instead of 5. I went to more high volume, high intensity, got away from heavy weights. It's not so much things. I really steer from a lot of the peptides. I wanted to stay away from those. I wanted to gear straight away from those. Brought the growth down. Instead of, I think the highest I ever went was 6 IUs. I went down to 2. And then trend don't really bother me, but we didn't go high with that. We only stayed at, we titrated from like 25 milligrams. The highest we got to was 60 milligrams a week. So everything was cut in half.
What made you go down on the G8? What made you go down on the G8 so much? What was wrong with 6?
Because I didn't want to have any insulin issues. I mean, I wouldn't have even at 6 IUs, but I'm very sensitive. So my fingers will start getting numb and my ankles will start swelling. I'm very sensitive to it. So I just wanted to run 2 IUs. And listen, man, Blue was very good. We wanted to come into this show half of everything, if not lower. And I think my body was not as toxic as it was in the Open, to where the physique was able to look more, just better. You know what I mean? I think less is better, not more.
And also, Phil, over the years, you've worked with a lot of different coaches. What made you stop with one coach and go to the next? And you know, I know Blue very well. He's one of my very good friends, and he's a great coach too. What made you go, like, over your career? What made you jump to the next coach? Did you just feel like that person couldn't take you any further at that time, and then that's why you went to the next coach? Or what was
I think I only had 4. So I had Joe Stubbs is who helped me get my pro card.
Okay.
Okay, because when I competed in the Caribbean, his guy beat me for the overall. I can't remember his name. He's from the Bahamas. He was supposed to be the next up and coming guy, but he just fell apart. So Patty was like, reach out to Joe, because he was on the same airplane as us. So, I reached out. I said, he ain't gonna call me. Joe got bigger things going on. That's Joe Stubbs, bro. He didn't call me. And he did. He called me. He said, listen, I'm gonna be honest. You beat my guy. He said, you beat my guy. So I'm willing to help you if you need me to help you get your pro card. And that's what we did. Once I got the pro card in Canada, we did one show together in Canada, and it wasn't good. So he's like a guy that can get you pro, but he's not the coach that's going to get you past the level once you become pro. Then I got with Dorian from HD. And he had me going for a while. He was doing really, really good, a good off season, and then he got so overwhelmed. That's when he had like so many people, so many big names on his squad. So he referred me to no, sorry, I'm jumping the truck. I hooked up with Dave Palumbo before I went to Dorian. Dave is a good coach. He brought me killer conditioning. I got my best placing under Dave Palumbo at 4th place in 2020. What happened was when I was getting ready for 2021. I was 3 weeks out, and I reached out to Dave, my check-ins, and I wasn't getting any replies. So I got ghosted.
Oh.
So I just took it then, and that's when Dorian came in, because I called Dorian because I was an HG competitor. I said, listen, he's not getting back to me. I need help, to carb up and everything. And he was going to be in Chicago. So he took me under his wing, didn't charge me anything, got me ready for Chicago. I think I took 6th or 8th at Chicago at that point. Then he hooked me up with Phil Biz. And then me and Phil, as everybody knows, first year together, we killed it. That's when we was battling Ian and Steve Kukos, brought in one of the best conditioning shape ever. And then with him, there's a lot of emotional stuff going on. I just couldn't handle the fights with him on people on social media. I have an image. I don't want to coach where all negative talk and he's fighting with people. So I had to leave him. And that's when I just didn't know what to do. And I've been following Blue for so many years, watching his work. And then we got on the phone, and it was lights out from there. Just talking to him, that was it. I've been with him ever since.
Okay, so that's not many coaches at all in the time.
No, it's not.
I mean, we talk about all the time, King and I, how the pros now, they coach up like every 6 months. Like it's like a different coach. People like Regan. I mean, they've used every single coach. And we talk about someone rushes to this coach. Like Stefan.
But you know what? It's not really the coach. I tell a lot of people they could jump from coach to coach all they want. If you're following, the protocol and the diet, I mean, I don't think it's always a coach at all. You know what I mean? Because I see Kamal's work with his athletes. All of them are dry. All of them are peeled. So I think sometimes people just feel as though, oh, if you can't get me to win, then I'm going to move on to the next one. But then it takes them time to get used to your body. You know what I mean?
Right.
I don't know, man. I can't speak anyhow of your Blue. He's you already know. I mean, he's more than just a coach to me. We talk about a lot of stuff going on in our lives, and I got so many grandchildren, and he's just a down-to-earth guy. And he did warn me. Yeah, he did warn me. He said, when I said I was going to come back and compete and out of retirement, he said, why? And I said, because we got unfinished business. I think we could do so much better. He said, well, I'm just letting you know, I don't think you're going to get a fair shake. He said it before I wasn't even thinking about it. Even after I apologized, he straight up said it. And then after everything was over, he said, didn't I? I said, I know. I said, I know. So it is what it is.
All right. King, you got anything?
No, I mean, I'm just, again, it seems like he's made his decision. I mean, I can see it in the tone of his voice and his demeanor and everything like that. If that's the case, moving on to another federation, and God bless, man.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
Phil, with all these federations too, when you move over there, you're going to be probably like the top dog. I mean, and I've seen it with the GBO. Some good competitors move over there, and then they start kind of doing more work with the league, and actually they start making pretty good money, and then they're putting their own shows on for the league and promoting shows, and so it's a little bit harder in the NPC to do that, whether you go other places for shows. And so I know with the GBO that a couple of the guys, they were top competitors over there. They kept winning, and then they eventually was like, okay, like I keep winning this, you know, and then they started their own shows, and they have their own shows now that they're doing, I think, pretty decent. So that's you know, maybe an option you could do.
I just
Also,
listen. At the end of the day, it's just
too.
giving back, man. Like I was
Yeah.
doing here at my hometown in Florida. We're at all these seminars. I'm always giving back, and I work a lot, and I just like looking at the next up and coming young stars. Like y'all know what I'm talking about. I just love bodybuilding,
Yeah.
not just for me, but giving back and helping these people go up. How can I do that when I believe the sport isn't 100% fair? How could I speak on their behalf at these events when it's you know what I mean? It's just not. I already told some of my clients right now, do not say I'm your coach in any NPC show whatsoever. I already warned them. Don't say my name.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That will.
And it's sad when you have to. It's sad when you have to do that. But
yeah.
like I said, I just want to give back, man. I loved it. I loved it while I was here. I will always love it. There is some promoters that I love to death, and I will continue to love them. Granted, some of them just kept their mouth shut and didn't say a word, which is fine. But I still love them. I still, I will always continue to care about the sport, maybe not about the people all in it. But like I said, IFBB Pro League is a great, NPC Worldwide is a great company. I just believe that hopefully in the future, some more things can change. Hopefully. Other than that, I have no grudges. I got the card that I'm dealt. I think everything was explained. The scorecard wasn't. But I'm just going to, I'm leaving it there. People want to battle and war online and say whatever. Like Kamal said, it's the scorecard. That's all I was concerned about, not anything else. So I'm at peace with it.
Well, I mean, I think you had a great career and, a really good long stretch. And that's amazing to be competing that long and then looking like you do. And it is unfortunate when you leaving, whatever you want to call it, a league, a place that you dedicated your whole life to, kind of like on like not the best. It does suck leaving that way, because you always kind of want to go out on the top, whether if it's your competing placing wise or kind of party with like, man, this, bye, appreciate everything. That does suck. So, I mean, I feel bad for you in that regard.
Yeah. Listen, I'm happy. Thank you guys very much, man. When Blue reached out to me and he said Armon and King Kamali, I said, hell yeah. I said, that's no question. I said, yeah, just tell him to call me. I really appreciate it, man. Thank you guys for having me. You guys
Good luck, man. Good luck with everything.
Thank you. And Armon, I've been watching for a long time on Dave Palumbo and King Kamali. You guys are always on podcasts. Keep doing what you're doing. I really appreciate you guys, and thank you very much.
Yeah, you too, Phil. I mean, you looked amazing. You won in everybody else's eyes. I mean, people, if you said all your inbox is full with all your fans, and King has said that before, like you won with the fans. That's who is, like you said, they paid for your way there. You had everybody support you. That's awesome. And that's got to feel great that many people, the opinions that really matter to you, that's what counts. So I'm really happy for that, Phil. And I'll be looking for you in the future, wherever you go. And like I called Blue up and I said, hey man, want to get him on? You're like, I'm ready. So we got you on like short notice, and I'm happy we had you on. Thanks for sharing all that, because I didn't know the story at all, and appreciate you having you on IRON OGs.
Take care, man. Peace.
Take care.
Peace. Thanks, Phil. Bye.
All right.